Hello, everyone. I am Caitlin, and this is the very first episode of my new podcast called The Coven Feed. I'm so excited that you're here, and I'm so excited to finally have friends to talk about everything Immortal Universe, which we'll get into. I have notes that I'm looking at, and I'm going to try really, really hard to stick to them because I want to make sure this is all organized for you guys. But if I get off track and kind of wander around, please forgive me. I can be a bit of a chatterbox and go off on tangents, but hopefully you guys will go for the ride. This is where we're going to talk about everything happening in the Anne Rice universe, including Interview with the Vampire. We're going to talk about Mayfair Witches, and we're definitely going to talk about the Talamasca. So I've seen other podcasts that are dedicated to like one of the series or a couple of them or one of the series and then some of the novels and some of the, the film from the 90s. But I really wanted to kind of bring everything here and talk about the universe as a whole and talk about ways in which it connects or folds in on itself or disconnects. I just kind of wanted to talk about all of those things. I also want to talk all about all of the eerie, beautiful chaos that ties every single one of them together. So I'm excited that we get to start this and so excited that you guys are here. So if it's dark, emotional, or just straight up gothic perfection, we're going to cover it here. Before I explain how this works, I want to share how I ended up here, how I fell down the rabbit hole that is the Anne Rice Immortal Universe. So, confession time, and I know this is a little bit controversial in the Anne Rice Immortal Universe world, or at least I found out via Facebook groups. I've never actually read the Anne novels. I know, please put your pitchforks down. I promise I won't lead you astray. I promise also to be like open to conversations about things. But I want you guys to know that this is a place where we're really going to focus on like the television series. I really want to take those as kind of their body of work. I think probably we will dip into the film, The Interview with the Vampire, as well as Anne Rice Immortal Universe novels. But I think the majority of this conversation is going to be around the television series. I feel like that is where I have really found a strong passion and a strong draw. And like I said, honestly, not very many people in my life are into the show. I don't even think very many people in my life are watching this. I don't know what that says about me, but not very many people in my life are watching this, aside from my sweet husband who watches it with me nightly almost. But I really needed friends to talk about it with. Basically, that's why we're here. Long story short, but we'll kind of talk a little bit more in depth about how I actually got here. Again, I didn't read the Anne Rice novels. I didn't grow up reading them or even really know about like how massive her world is. Honestly, I didn't even know that the two movies in the 90s, so The Interview with the Vampire and then The Queen of the Damned. Yes, I didn't even know those were connected, honestly. The only thing I remember about the film The Queen of the Damned was it featured Aaliyah in it, the singer. Oh my gosh, I'm like totally dating myself. And I think that was like her last film before she passed away. I'd have to Google that. I didn't put that in my notes, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was like her last film. But anyway, I didn't even know those were connected. So when I was younger, this whole universe was not something I was like as deeply entrenched as I have been since I found the television series. So my first taste of it was AMC's Interview with the Vampire, and actually my first, we'll call it a little bite, just like they call it on the show. My first little bite of the show was I found a random clip, and I believe it was the scene where, and this is going to be a spoiler, there will be spoilers throughout this podcast, so please prepare yourself. If you haven't watched a particular episode, I believe this happened in season 2. I'm almost certain. So if you're not in season 2, you might want to fast forward, but I will be telling all kinds of spoilers. We're going to be talking in depth about the show, so spoilers are to be expected. But in this particular clip that I found on TikTok, it was the scene where Claudia and Madeline had like seen each other around a couple of times. It was after Claudia got the dress from Madeline, but it was the scene where Madeline was about to be assaulted and Claudia basically saves her. So, not basically, she does save her. She does a lot of damage to those people and she ends up saving her, and Madeline is like not fazed at all by Claudia feeding and that kind of thing. So, I saw that clip and just the like chemistry in the scene, like their friendship and their like connection, and I felt like it was like a budding romance, which we'll definitely talk about as we get into this season 2 part of the show. But I felt that, and I just felt like it was so beautiful and I just wanted more. I wanted to know more about it, but I was also a little bit confused because again, I knew about the show, or I knew about the film. I am a millennial. I grew up in that era when that film was produced, so I've heard of it. I know a lot of folks who like to watch it around Halloween, and it's one of those like staple movies that kind of comes on TV around Halloween time, or always had in like the 90s. So I wanted to know more about like, wait, it doesn't look like that film, or like what I had seen of it before. So I'm a little bit confused. Like, is this somebody's like fan rendering or something? I didn't know. But then I dug a little bit deeper and I realized that there was a TV series, and I was like, oh my gosh, we should check this out. It looks really cool. I had found a few other clips of the show, and I thought it was so cool and so neat. And so I convinced my husband to watch it with me. And every episode, I was just like, after the first one, my jaw was on the floor. I was just completely enamored with the characters in both good and bad ways. Some of them, and at different points in the show, like some of them are like in trouble, basically, in my mind. And other ones are like doing good things. And you kind of look at it as like a mirror. And, Anne Rice even looked at herself as a mirror in some of the characters, which we'll talk about that as well. But again, the show just like it completely took me out. I hit play thinking we'd maybe like watch an episode because my husband is a little bit of a hard nut to crack when it comes to like convincing him to watch a show. Like it has to be like a really special thing, and it kind of has to have a moral, or like it has to really like connect with him, which I totally get. But I thought we'd just watch one episode and that would be the end of it, and if I wanted to watch it I could continue watching it on my own. But we all just like fell in love with it. But by the end of that, even that first scene, I feel like I was just hooked. The storytelling, the atmosphere, the intimacy, it like felt cinematic and emotional in a way that TV rarely is. I feel like every word in the show was chosen with absolute perfection. I feel like the casting was absolutely perfect. The only thing that rubbed me a little bit wrong, which we'll talk more about as we go into the show, was the character change, or the actor change, I guess I should say, in season 2. So that one, I got around it, but it was like, you can kind of connect with an actor that portrays a character. It's hard to switch that sometimes, at least for me. But I didn't really feel like I was just watching vampires. I was watching people who loved too deeply, hurt too long, and refused to stop being dramatic about it. I love the drama of it all. It's amazing. Then when the Mayfair Witches came out, I was all in. I love the mood, the magic, the mystery. I found myself up at like 1 a.m. scrolling Reddit threads, watching more TikTok edits and interviews, and trying to understand like every piece of this universe. And that's when it hit me. This isn't just like a show fandom. This is a full on world. Like it's like bits and pieces that connect and intertwine and fold back on each other, and just like it feels like it's just like Anne Rice describes it, it's an immortal universe. I feel like that's a perfect way to describe it, which of course it's perfect. She came up with it. I want to be a part of it, and I've wanted to be a part of it from day one. So I hope you all will be very welcoming. Everyone that I've met so far that's part of the fandom is very, very welcoming. So I'm very excited to get to know you all more. So that's how the Coven Feed started. as a place for fans who, like me, found Anne Rice through the series and just fell completely in love with it. A place for people who love gothic storytelling, complicated and, in-depth characters, and then a little bit of supernatural drama with their heartbreak. So that's what we're doing here, and I'm so thrilled that all of you are going to be here with me. So next I want to talk a little bit about how the show is going to work and like what the format is going to look like and what pieces are going to be happening and anything special that you might need to know about. I also have ideas to bring a Patreon to life, but that will probably be in the works for quite some time. But if you're interested in joining me on Patreon for any extras, stay tuned and make sure that you are checking the links either wherever you are, if you're on TikTok, Instagram, wherever you're seeing this. Make sure that you're always staying up to date with that and having your notifications on, because I definitely will be bringing something like that to you in the future. Probably not the near future, but in the future at some point. So each week we're going to start the show and we're going to start by talking about, something atmospheric that sets the mood. It may be a quote, it may be a sound or a moment that pulls you right into the world. So it could just be like a clip from the show that I want to discuss. It could be a quote from the show. It could be anything really. But I just want, kind of to have that little moment where we take a break from reality and step into that immortal universe, if that makes sense. So I just want to be pulled right into that world, and I want to pull you all in there with me. So then we're going to follow that up by going on a deep dive where we'll talk about the episodes, character arcs, and themes from the show. I'll give you guys kind of my thoughts, my philosophies, anything like that about the show. Maybe even have guests come in and talk about the show with me. I would love to have people from my life as I slowly convince them to watch the show. People in the community that I have met along the way, maybe other podcast hosts. If you're listening, I would love to have you on the show. I've also been in talks with experts who work at the university level and, lots of really cool people I would love to bring onto the show. So that would be a great place for that. So we'll unpack the messy emotional stuff and we'll talk about what makes the Immortal Universe so addictive. So we'll definitely go through all of that. And after that, I would like to include a few recurring segments in the show. So I'd like to do something that I'm going to call the Dark Archive. And this will be a place where I share real world stories that mirror the shows. Think like gothic history, true crime, and legends that feel straight out of Anne Rice's novel and world, and even that maybe like they climbed out of the television screen and into the real world, just things like that. So there will be research involved, but I thought that would be really cool, and I thought it would be a way to set our community apart from other shows that I've listened to that are around Anne Rice's Immortal Universe. So that'll be really cool. I'm excited about that. And then I have another recurring segment that I'd like to add to the show called Letters from the Coven, where you come in. So send me your letters, theories, or voice notes, and you can send those at thecovenfeed@gmail.com, or you can DM me on Instagram or TikTok, which will be linked in the show notes somewhere. I'll read some of your messages on the show, and I'll send you audio or short video. I might even include your voice on an episode. And I will definitely be asking questions, and I'll probably be posting those either on like our community tab on YouTube. I'll be posting them over on Instagram. If there's a way to post things now on Spotify, it's changed so much since I've used it last, but if there is a way to do that, I'll post that there. Maybe in the show notes of the previous episode, who knows? But I will definitely make sure to get that if there's like a question that I would like for you to answer or weigh in on or anything like that. So really excited to hear from you guys around that. And then sometimes we'll also include a This Week in the Shadows. So quick updates, interviews, or fandom news to keep us caught up. So when we're between seasons of shows, of course, there will be updates about like when things are going to go live and, things like that. And I've seen like events that come up around the Immortal Universe and, just things in the news in the spotlight that bring the Immortal Universe into our real world. So every episode, we'll wrap up with a reflection, a little space to talk about why these stories stick with us and what they say about love, power, and the parts of ourselves that live in the dark. I think maybe that could be why I love it so much, because it is a little dark and twisty, and I do love a good dark and twisty moment. So whether you're an Anne Rice longtime fan or you're just getting started like me, this is your space. So light a candle, pour something dark to drink, and follow the Coven Feed wherever you listen. Initially, I believe it will just be on Spotify, and I feel like I have to post. There's some rules. I won't bore you with the back end details, but basically there are some rules that will get this out into Apple Music and other podcasting platforms as well. But for the time being, we will be on Spotify until we can get all those kinks worked out. But I hope you will listen wherever you do. If you're ready to share your thoughts, your theories, or your favorite Gothic tale, send them my way. The Coven is always listening. So next week, we're going to be diving into The Interview with the Vampire, the show that started it all for me, and why it's easily one of the most stunning and emotional series on TV right now. So until next time, I'm Caitlin, and this is the Coven Feed. Join the Coven and come stay with us in the shadows.